Connection Show, inspiring hope, health, and healing, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops Live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is Jeff Marconette Jr. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Well, I'd love the audience to know just a little bit about you, so I'm going to read your bio. Jeff Marconette Jr., known as the award winning international Make Every Second Count speaker, is a transformational speaker and the author of Make Every Second Count, a 1,500-hour journal youth mentor and walking miracle. He is the host of his live show, Make Every Second Count, hosted weekly from his home in Ohio. At 17, he almost met the eternal stop sign while waiting to turn at a green light. He was told he would never walk again. But after 20 years of recovery, Jeff is not only walking, but he's determined to run. After his near-death experience, Jeff wants everyone to make every second count. He travels the world transforming lives so that others don't have to hope for a second chance to truly live the life of their dreams. So, what an amazing story intro, Jeff. And what I'd love the audience to know just a little bit about what was it like for you growing up? What kind of childhood did you have, just briefly? And then lead us to the accident, and then what has made you who you are today with what you're doing.
All right. So my childhood was very nice. I had a lot of friends. I lived in a neighborhood with a lot of kids. My parents were still together. I played all kinds of sports. I played soccer, football, baseball, basketball, indoor soccer, select soccer. Yeah, I played a little bit of everything, as you can probably see or hear. But I grew up in a small town in Ohio where I still live today. And I just loved my town, and I still do. And my parents were so supportive of everything I did. And like I said, I had an amazing childhood. A lot of speakers had a childhood that wasn't the best, or their parents weren't the best for one reason or another. But that's not my story. My story is like I was that avid athlete. I had a great family life. I had everything I wanted. My parents bought me everything I wanted. It was amazing.
Aw.
I didn't want to grow up, and I still don't.
That's awesome. Well, that's good that the beginning of your life was so amazing. We don't always have to have tragedy throughout our whole life, but as we know, circumstances do happen that change the trajectory of our life. And so take us down that trajectory of what developed for you.
Well, first of all, let me say that I feel that each and every person out there is going to have something to overcome in their life. They're going to face some adversity, some uphill, some downhill, but they're going to be there. And it's not if they happen, but when they happen. And it's best to be prepared for those. But what I'm saying is, don't be so scared of it all the time, and make sure you're living in the moment and live for today, because it's so important that you do that. So, all right, then when I was 17, I was on my way to lunch one day from school, and I was headed to Wendy's, and a friend behind me actually honked at me to tell me the light was green. So I don't know about you, but I have a lot of friends that like to mess with me, like to make me look like a fool. And so I quickly looked up, made sure the light was green, and then I pulled forward without looking to either side. Big mistake.
Mm,
You see, when I pulled out into that intersection, a semi truck decided to run the red light.
mm.
We don't know how fast he was going because he never hit his brakes, didn't leave any skid marks. And I've never heard from him since. And he received a $40 failure to yield ticket, which he paid from his house in Canada. Now, I did not fare so well. I was left in a coma 2.5 months, and I would spend the next 3.5 in the hospital with a traumatic brain injury, a broken neck, a fractured jaw, two broken ribs, a punctured lung, and a ruptured spleen. I had a tube in through my stomach to help me eat because my jaw was wired shut and I was in a coma. I had a tube in through here to help me reinflate my lung or to help them reinflate my lung. I had a tube in through here called a tracheotomy, and that was to help me breathe. And I was actually on a ventilator for a few days. I had a halo that I also wore for 3 months. And I don't know if you know anything about halos, but they screw directly into your skull.
So
Now,
they're not angelic halos.
unfortunately, not. Although I do like to tell people I was an angel at one time, I had a halo on.
That's a good one. I love it. That's funny. That's funny. So go ahead. So you had the halo on your head. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Um, so I was in the hospital. It took me about 2.5 months to come out of the coma. And coming out of a coma isn't what you see on TV. It's not like, hey, you just wake up one day and be like, hey, I want a hamburger. No, it's not like that. It's a very slow process and it happens over time. Like 1 week, you'll open your eyes for the first time. The next week, you will start to track people with your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week, you will start doing something else. And the next week, something else. But you're still you're still considered in a coma for so long, and you have to be able to actually interact with people before you come out of the coma. And I was so happy when I came out of the coma. Actually, I wasn't happy when I came out of the coma. See, the first day that I came out of the coma, I was there in the hospital with my sister. And she was pushing me around in my wheelchair around the hospital, letting me see all kinds of things, giving me stimulation as they say. But she was taking me back to my room, and I guess when we walked into the room, she heard strange noises from me, and she didn't get it. So she came around front to look at me, and I was just hysterically crying. So she kind of freaked out. She went to the nurses station, grabbed nurses, said, something's wrong. They all came in, and they just kind of stood around me and smiled. And my sister was freaking out. She was like, what's wrong with them? And all they could do was smile.
Because they knew you were coming back around.
that was the first day I had reached a certain point in a coma, and that is considered the point where if you hit this point, you are much more likely to come the rest of the way out. But that stage 4 in a coma is also the confusion stage. So I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't talk. I couldn't ask her what was wrong, where I was at, what was going on here. Couldn't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to sit there and take it and figure things out over time because it was strange. People were standing around smiling. They all had white coats on. And I'm like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't say that.
Well, and the mind's still confused, totally confused. And,
Exactly.
I just need to pause for just a moment and tell you, Jeff, when I do interviews and some, like you, and this is your first time I've ever met you because you're speaking at an event I'm going to be at. And I never know why God puts certain people in my life. And I'm listening to you, and you have no idea. We'll talk more after you get done sharing how inspirational you are to me because my mother had the exact same thing happen to her. Exactly, almost identical to your story with traumatic brain injury. And she was dead on arrival when they brought her to the hospital, and she came back to life and was in a coma for months. But she never was able to articulate like you are. And so I'm like hearing you, and I'm hearing my mom's voice in my head sharing with me what she went through. So thank you for going into such depth because it's really helpful to me.
You're quite welcome.
Mm. So you were in during this period of time, sometimes, and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong if it didn't happen to you. So I don't want to put something, this stupid thing keeps popping up. I don't know what's going on here, there. Um, I don't want to put a thought in your mind that didn't happen, but did you have any, um, uh, like when near death, did you go to heaven? Did you have a heaven experience, a God experience, anything like that? Some people do and some people don't.
Nope.
Nope.
I
Okay.
had nothing. I mean, I did have some dreams, but these dreams I don't know when they actually happened. So it's confusing like if they happened while I was in the coma, just after I had come out of the coma, or when they had happened. But I was in it was like a nursing home in my dreams, and the I don't know who it was because I couldn't see anybody else, but they came in and got me each day, and they would take me out and push me around much like my sister did,
Hmm.
and they would push me around the city, like a bigger city. Like I have no idea what the
Hmm.
city this was, but it was just a city, an empty city, and there were buildings, there were all kinds of things, and it was like almost like New York, but it was dead. I mean, nothing was happening in this city.
Hmm.
I couldn't see anybody. And I definitely couldn't see if there was anybody pushing me or if I was just going along.
Hmm.
All I could see was nothing. Now, this kind of freaked me out one day because they pushed, or well, I don't know what, but something pushed me back to my room at the end of the day. And it was like any other time that I would just be back to my room. And this time I went in there and I got into bed, which I don't know how I got into bed, because I didn't see anybody and I couldn't stand up or walk, but I in my dream, I don't know, I was just there, and I was just they laid me down on a dead body.
Mm,
Like there was a dead body under a blanket there in my bed.
mm.
And I was just laying on top of it. And nobody else seemed to notice. It was just me. I was freaking out because there's a bed and there's a body in my bed.
and and they keep pushing you back into that bed and lifting you up and putting you on top of that dead body, and you're like, "Can I have my own bed?"
Yeah, and I but I couldn't see anybody. I couldn't do anything. I was
Mhm.
just laying there.
Hmm.
So it was strange.
Very strange. So take us then. So I'm sure, because again, remembering what I went through with my mom, I'm sure that rehabilitation was brutal. If you want to share a little bit about the brutality of rehab after a traumatic brain injury.
Well, I actually tomorrow marks 20 years to the day of my accident.
Mm,
Um and I'm going to be celebrating that day. That day is super special to me. But I have been doing therapy since my accident.
mhm.
I That's 20 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me about it and they say, "Is therapy fun?" And I just kind of laugh.
Oh yeah, it's a blast. It's I wouldn't want to do anything but therapy every day. It is the light of yeah, it's hard work.
Yes, it is hard work. And I, I I don't know, but to me, I'm not saying to anybody else, but to me, it's kind of fun because I get to challenge myself. I get to try and improve myself. I get to try and inspire other people with my story by going to therapy. You see, therapy has kind of been an outlet for me because it was going and working out. But for like the last 9 years, I have been going to therapy less and less because it's gotten kind of expensive.
Mm.
But
And
I go to
insurance
therapy.
doesn't
She
pay.
tells me
Hmm.
what I need to be working on.
Oops, you froze up there, Jeff. I hope it comes back. You're frozen in time. Let's see if it comes back. Hmm. Stay tuned. Jeff's computer froze up. I'm hoping it will come back. Jeff, if you can hear me at all and it doesn't, you can log off and log back in, and we'll just stay here and wait for you if need be. Because I don't want to redo the whole interview. Hmm. Yeah, stay tuned, you guys. This is an amazing young man and with so much hope, health, and healing in his life. And I, I'm waiting to see if he can come back in so we don't have to redo the entire interview because it was so great. Um, so Jeff, no problem. I was just saying that we were waiting for you to come back in, and so we'll just pick up where we left off, Jeff. No big
Zoom
deal.
died.
Yeah, no big.
Zoom died, and I was like I was getting ready to call you and be like, Zoom died.
No problem. So Jeff,
So
yeah, you were saying about the rehab and 9 years of it, and then all of a sudden, you were saying it's just horrifically expensive. I was starting to ask you. Um, I would assume you're on a Social Security disability. Are you not on disability or no? No, because
yeah, I am, but that I don't really like that. It's
But you,
it makes me feel like I'm disabled. And you see, I don't see myself as disabled. I have a saying that I might not be able to do all the same things as other people out there, but I have abilities. They're just different abilities. You see, there's I work with this program called Project Search, and it's it's full of disabled kids, and they have like autism and all kinds of things like that, developmental issues.
mhm.
And I was talking to one of them one day, and his name's actually Glenn. I can't say his last name because yeah, but I I was sitting there with all of the other interns in the program, which are high school students, and I was talking to him, and I knew he played basketball. So I was like, "Hey, Glenn, you play basketball, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Are you good at basketball?" He just kind of smiled, looked around for a minute, and he's like, sort of. And I said, "You know what? I'm not good at basketball. Does that make me disabled?" And he sat there for a minute and thought about it. And he was like, "Well, I don't think so." I said, "But you play basketball. You're good at basketball. I can't play basketball. I'm no good at basketball. So that has to be a disability, doesn't it?" Again, he looked around, thought about it for a few minutes, came back, said, "You know, I don't think so, Jeff." I said, "Well, let's see. You say you're disabled, but you're able to do this and I'm not. So does that mean you're disabled? Because I have abilities that you don't. When you have abilities that I don't." And he just sat there,
Mhm.
looked at me, and after a couple minutes, he smiled. He said, "Thank you."
Mhm.
And I was just like, wow.
That was a moment for you. That was great. So, Jeff, I want to kind of go down a little path here. A friend of ours, Brenda Ringwood, um, is doing this amazing conference in Overland Park, Kansas, on February 11th through the 13th, called "Becoming the Best You Can Be, Overcoming Challenges." And she's invited Jeff to be one of her guest speakers. And Jeff, could you share with us, when Brenda invited you to speak, what led you to want to be on that particular platform to share your story?
Well, I knew I had to do it because I want everybody to become the best them they can be, because I know it's possible. That I know certain things are going to happen in life and you're not going to be able to control them, but you can control how you react to that. And you see, your reactions are your only true belonging. And the way you react can either be good and be awesome and be amazing and make you better, or can be crappy and make you bitter. So my thing is, people have to go to that side. They have to be better instead of bitter.
Mm. That's a wonderful statement, Jeff. Amazing. So I want to show the audience your bio and headshot here, Jeff. And you can reach out to Jeff at Jeff Marconette, if I said it right, marconettejr.com, and get a hold of him to speak at any of your events. And then this is the flyer of where the event's taking place at the Sheridan Convention Center, Overland Park, Kansas. And the website is comechangeyourlife.com, where you can still register and get tickets to come and hear more of these amazing stories like Jeff's, where he'll go more in detail and share more about his life with you at the conference. And so, Jeff, it has been an honor to get to know you, and I'm so grateful you took some time out of your busy schedule with your gym class and your physical therapy and all that good stuff for good health to keep your body strong and come and visit with us. Yeah, that strong body. Yep. So thank you so much. And everyone, thanks a lot for joining the Connection Show tonight. And join us in Overland Park, Kansas, February 11th through the 13th at the Becoming the Best You Can Be Overcoming Challenges Conference. We look forward to seeing you there, and so does Jeff. You can say sign out, Jeff.
All right, guys, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life. Have a great night.
Mm. And I want to close by saying if for some reason you can't make it to Overland Park, Kansas, the event will be virtual as well. And so you can get a ticket for only $49 to watch the event in the comfort of your home, and hear these amazing, encouraging stories. So thanks for joining us, Jeff, and everyone. Have a wonderful night. Bye now.
Bye.